Man here, and I needed a GPU for my server, and I found this one for 23 bucks on Reddit, this GTX 1050. What's wrong with it? Why'd I get it so cheap? I'll give you a hint. Back. I went over to my buddy's repair shop. I asked him what he had in the line of heat sinks, and he told me to check out some of his CPU coolers. I don't know if this actually needs a fan, so I'm trying one of these old Intel coolers. I'm going to just zip tie it on. It doesn't fit when you try to put the fan on. It's just, you can see. So what I think I'm going to do, I actually think I'm going to try this with no fan. Run it for an hour and just see how hot it gets. So this was interesting. Long story short, I didn't really see a way to strap this vertically like I normally do because the PCB is so small. So I used the fan holes for the fan to strap everything in. It is pretty sturdy. Look, you can see it's not going anywhere, and I don't really see a big gap. Now I could be wrong. I'm going to take this onto one of my test benches, and I'm gonna crank up Furmark and see how hot it gets. I kind of feel like for what I'm gonna use it for, I think I can passively cool it. I have a 1030 that's passively cooled. As long as the airflow is semi-decent, it stays in like the 50s. And I mean, I think that'll be fine, honestly. So I'm going to go put this on the bench and let's see how it does. We've got it on my test bench. It is booting. Everything looks good so far. Man, I got to say though, I honestly love this bench. It's so much easier to test things. So let me see how this goes. I'm probably going to just let it idle first when it hits Windows. And then once it idles, I'll probably see the temperature after about 20 minutes, and then I'll start running the app. And then we'll end up to Furmark, and we'll see how it goes. So I'll be right back. So now this is at full load, so I don't think this is going to work. I don't know if you can see it, but we're already at 91. So we're going to call this a no-go. So it got really hot, and you can almost smell it. I mean, the heat sink is very, very, very hot. The GPU didn't fail or anything, so that's good. I actually left it overnight idling, 18 to 20 degrees C. So I'm wondering if I strap a fan to it. So the only problem is I'm not sure where to strap it, but I'm wondering if maybe if I try to strap it to the back and then just like connect it to like a CPU fan slot, or I could wire it to go in here, it might work. So I'm going to go look at my options and I will be right back. So the good thing is that the fact that this thing is still hot, the heat sink, it means that it's working. It's dissipating the heat. So I need to put a fan on it. So I'm wondering if I take the fan that came with it and I just get it on top somehow. It's catching a little bit, so I'd have to cut this or do something about it. Or I could just put the Intel cooler fan on, and since I can just put it in a PWM slot on the motherboard. So I'm gonna play with it. For the Intel one, I'd have to probably rip these off, which is fine. I don't know. I'm gonna see what I come up with, so I'll be right back. So excuse the mess, but Crewman doesn't like to spend money on parts if he doesn't have to. So I figured out that I could plug the fan shroud in, and the fan is spinning without catching anything. And to keep this side from falling off, I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually strapped into the holes. There's holes on the PCIe. So, and then this one is just pulled tight. So I think this is gonna work. We're gonna chuck it on my test bench, and as long as it doesn't go over like 75, I'll be happy with it. I don't have high expectations for this card. Like I said, it was 23 bucks, and you can see it right here. All it needs to do is not break while in my server. So I will be right back. So it posts. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, it looks pretty bad. The fan's spinning. Nothing's catching it. So that's good. Let's stress test it. All right, so it's like 20 minutes later, and the GPU has stayed at 32C basically the whole time. So I mean, it feels like hot, like it's being used, but it's fine, and you can hear it. Nothing's going on with the fan. Now, I mean, this is in a cold garage, so I'm sure if it was warmer, it'd probably be in the 40s or the 50s, maybe even the 60s. But all of that is fine with me. So we think we're going to call this one complete. I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit. I'll be back with my final thoughts. Alright guys, so here you can see the finished product. All I did was cut the zip ties a little bit and move them around so that they're not going to whack the motherboard when they're put on. So I'm pretty happy with it. I was originally looking for something along the lines of a 1030 or something bare minimum that could output into 4K. So finding this for real cheap, I was pretty happy. Considering all I literally needed to do was add a old Intel heatsink and some zip ties. Here's what it looks like from behind to make it work. I'm pretty happy with it. So the moral of the story is don't be afraid to take risk on small projects like this. It made for some good, it made for an interesting experiment for me. I've never replaced a heatsink before. And again, I'm happy with the result. So please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I know your time is valuable. So thanks for spending it with me. And Croupman out.